It's a very exciting day for me. I have the all-new Sedona Food Dehydrator just arrived here, so now I'm going to unbox it and show you guys what's included with the Sedona Food Dehydrator, go over some of the different features it has, and also we're going to just do a rough comparison with the Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator. So this Sedona Dehydrator is a 9-tray dehydrator, and it's made by Tribest, and that's the same company that makes the Green Star juicer, the Green Power juicer, and also the Green Star Elite juicer, plus a host of other basically kitchen appliances that allow you to live a healthier lifestyle. So the Sedona Dehydrator fits in their mix perfectly, and I'm so glad there's finally an alternative to the Excalibur, which has basically ruled the world in the world of raw and living foods. This one has some really cool features, and well, without further ado, let's go ahead and open the box and check it out. We're going to go ahead and open this box. Now this is a pretty huge box, you know. Dehydrator is actually pretty big. We're also going to measure the dehydrator and show you the sizes too. So okay, so with the dehydrator, you get the little booklet and instruction manual. The instruction manual has all the operating instructions, including the warranty card. This machine does come with a full 5-year warranty through Tribest. They have excellent customer service. And there's also basically some raw food recipes in here by Jenny Ross, owner and executive chef of 118 Degrees down in Costa Mesa, California. That's an excellent place. I've actually been there and eaten there before. And also by Alyssa Markowitz. So probably about a dozen recipes: sprouted grain tortillas, garden crackers, flax crackers, marinated vegetables, easy fudge brownies, sweet Sedona cookies, fruit chips, dehydrated spices, also kale chips, and even a pecan mousse with currant sauce. That sounds delicious, actually. Anyways, comes with the instruction booklet. And let's see here, you get these basically these mesh inserts. So basically these are the mesh inserts that you put inside the dehydrator to dehydrate everything on. That way you could just take these out for easy cleaning. Now the mesh inserts and all the trays in the Sedona Dehydrator are BPA free. So they're nice, you know, clear plastic, no black dyes or anything to contend with. And then also you get the solid tray. So the solid tray is not necessarily meant for dehydrating anything on, although you could do that. It's not going to work too well. This is basically used for the separator tray. So this machine has 2 fans inside of it. You could use either the top fan or the bottom fan. And if you're only going to use half the dehydrator, you're going to put this solid tray in there to basically only let all the airflow stay in one half of the dehydrator. So you could run it with 5 trays or with 4 trays or both fans for all 9 trays. So that's really smart. It's going to save you electricity if you're not running the dehydrator full. So that's that. Here's all the 9 mesh sheets you get with the dehydrator. We're going to put that aside here. Next, we're going to pull this baby out. Wow, this thing is huge. All right, and the one thing I like about the Sedona Dehydrator is that this dehydrator is basically the same size and shape of most microwave ovens, so standard microwave oven. So if they designed it this way so that you could pull out that microwave oven that's sitting on top of your, you know, stove in the little cutout space, take that out, get rid of it. Microwaving, in my opinion, is absolutely the worst way to be cooking any kind of food, and dehydration's actually probably the best. Also, what's really nice about the Sedona Dehydrator, you get a standard IEC cable. So those computer geeks out there, and they know what this is. This is the standard cable, or the standard power cable that's used with your PC that you're probably watching this video on right now. So that's really nice. It comes loose. So a lot of dehydrators actually have that built in. So this you could actually separate out, and if it should go bad, they're really easy to replace. Let's go ahead and get rid of the box now. And let's check out this dehydrator. First, let's check out the back. See what it's up. So the back here basically has a little port for the power cord. Plug it in, and then also in the back, it also looks like a fuse is built in to this fuse. So should the fuse blow, you could just easily get in there and replace that. And also, this machine is UL listed. UL approved, UL listed for household use only. And the other thing in the back that's nice is this panel has all the electronics. You can see that in the back there. This is computer controlled. So unlike the Excalibur, which is not computer controlled, this is computer controlled, and this is a smart dehydrator. And that's how all the functions of the dehydrator work. I mean, there's a microprocessor that really constantly checks the temperature of the dehydrator to make sure it's you know, the temperature inside is what you're setting it for. Really smart. The other thing about this dehydrator is really cool, is basically there's these little nubby things on the back of this dehydrator. I'll pull it up so you can see it. These nubby things stick out, and I was like, why do they put that? Well, it's really easy why they put that. They don't want you shoving this against the wall because, you know, for a dehydrator to work optimally, it does need some air circulation or airspace, so this prevents you from putting it, you know, that close to the wall, so there's some air circulation, so things just don't get too hot, and the electronics don't get too hot, and the air could flow evenly. I guess with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the front of the machine. And the one thing I like about the Sedona Dehydrator is this feature right here. It has a lid on a hinge. That's so nice, because we're going to compare this to the Excalibur in a second, and the lid or the cover is not on a hinge. See, they give you a warranty thing. Please discard tray holders on both sides of the machine prior to operation. Failure to do so may result in a fire or electrical damage. So always important to read the manufacturer's directions. What they're talking about here are these guys right here. They want this to be nice and presentable, so when they ship it to you, they basically put this little insert in here, and kind of hard to get out actually. You got to basically just pull these two insert things out here, which basically keep the trays in place for shipping, so you know they're not damaged or anything like that. And this is a little bit interesting to get out of here. Takes a little bit of playing. Oh, got it finally. Man, this does keep the trays in place. One of the common problems with the Excalibur when they ship that is all the trays get wonky inside the machine. That'll never happen with the Tribest Sedona Dehydrator. You know, Tribest has thought a lot about the engineering of this dehydrator. They thought about from the size of the dehydrator to like fitting in a standard microwave spot to, you know, even holding the trays in place so they don't get damaged or roughed up in shipping. That's really smart. So, okay, we got these two guys out. We're going to go ahead and throw those in the box. So save them in case you ever need to ship the dehydrator back for service. Definitely good to save all the packing materials. Next thing we're going to talk about are the trays. So here are the trays once again. These are basically the trays without the mesh. So you're not necessarily supposed to be dehydrating on this. You're supposed to go ahead and put a mesh on there. So then you're just basically going to put a mesh sheet on there, and then that just goes into the machine. And one of the nice things I like about this machine is that they're about an inch spacing between the different shelves. So between shelf and shelf, there's about an inch. On the Excalibur, there's 3/4 of an inch, and we'll go over that in a minute. I guess besides the insides, you know, nothing too fancy. We're going to go ahead and take out the trays, and I want to show you guys the two different fans and the heating elements. So there's basically two independent fan and heating element systems in this machine, all controlled by this control panel up here. Let's take a look at the back there. Oh, got one more tray in there. So right on the back here, you can see on the bottom half there's a fan and a heating element, and on the top half there's another fan and a heating element. These are both DC brushless fans rated for many, many hours of continual use, plus the heating element. Plus there's a steel mesh here, nice high quality mesh that protects you from sticking anything into, you know, the fans or into the heating elements. So definitely really good. I know inside here looks all really nice. We're just going to go ahead and, I guess, close this up. That's the other nice feature about this machine. Real glass. This is a real glass, basically, cover here, and you can look inside the machine to check to see if the things you're dehydrating are finished or not. So you don't even have to open the machine to check with the Excalibur. We'll see that in a minute. You know, you got to open it up and check. I guess the other coolest part of this machine is that it is computer controlled, and this control panel here, basically you have a couple switches we're going to go over one at a time. You have a power switch on and off, so real simple, real easy. Power switch is on the front. Turn it on, turn it off. Next you have a Fahrenheit and Celsius button. So here in America we use Fahrenheit, but maybe if you're from Europe, or you know, they also actually sell this machine in Europe, you could change it to Celsius if that's what you're accustomed to. Next we have a temperature. So this actually constantly monitors the temperature and will display the temperature on there, the temperature inside the machine. Next we have a timer, and this is the countdown timer. So this basically, you could set your countdown timer to 12 hours, it'll count down to 0, then shut itself off automatically. So it's a really smart machine. You won't have to waste any extra electricity running the dehydrator when whatever you're dehydrating is finished. Also, this display will actually, besides displaying the temperature, that it is currently inside the machine, this will allow you to set the temperature to the desired temperature that you want to maintain inside the machine. Next over here, that's what you do with this little button here. This is the set button. So this set button allows you to set the temperature and also the timer inside the machine. So the next button on here is the tray button, and what this tray button allows you to do is it allows you to run either the bottom half of the machine or the top half. So to run the dehydrator on the bottom trays or the top trays. And once again, we have this solid piece here. This solid piece basically goes right in the middle here to cordon off the different fans. So if you're running only the top fan, you don't want all the air going to the bottom, because that's just going to basically make it take longer to dehydrate. So the mode button is an interesting button on this dehydrator. What the mode button allows you to do is basically allows you to run the dehydrator at a lower fan speed setting. So one of the common complaints on the Excalibur is that, you know, there's only one fan setting, and actually it's a fairly loud setting. The mode button lets you basically take the fan level down to like low speed. It's still running, it's not going to dehydrate as fast, but say you have company over or you want to sleep at night and it's too loud, you could run it at slower speeds. It's going to be much quieter. And once again, it's going to take longer to dehydrate whatever you're dehydrating if you're doing it at low speed. I always recommend using high speed whenever possible, unless you have company over or something for that matter. The last button over here, really easy to use, is the start and pause button. So once you get all your temperature locked in that you want it to start at and the timer set up, you just hit the start button once, the dehydrator comes on and will run the pre-programmed program, much like your washing machine. Once you set it for the whatever, you hit the start button, it goes. One of the nice features of this dehydrator so that it saves electricity is that once it's running and you open the door at any time, the machine will stop running, because, you know, there's no use in blowing hot air in your face or actually wasting electricity while the door is open. And this door, you know, it makes a pretty good sealing, unlike the Excalibur, and there are some air vents on the side, because what needs to happen when the food is dehydrating, the fan is running from the back, blowing the heat source to the front, and as the heat source blows off the front, basically the water comes off, or the moisture comes off the food, and then some of it needs to escape. So there's basically these ports on the side that lets the moisture in the food that you're dehydrating escape. So that's definitely really smart. And that's pretty much it to the Sedona Food Dehydrator. So next we're going to go ahead and pull out the Excalibur Dehydrator. We're going to compare the Excalibur to the Sedona. So now the moment you've all been waiting for, we're going to compare the Excalibur over here with the Sedona over here. Wow, look at that. You hit this, you can hear it shake around. If you hear this, it's just solid. Anyways, I guess the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the shape and size difference. As you can see, this Excalibur here is a lot shorter, or a little bit shorter anyways, than the Sedona. And let's see here, it's approximately 12 inches high, maybe 12 1/4 inches high. And the Sedona, once again, is about 14.5 inches tall. Then on the Excalibur, the width of the Excalibur, that's about 16.5 inches wide, and the Sedona is about 17 inches wide, so about 1 inch wider. Next, we're going to measure the depth. So the depth of Sedona, the physical depth is about 17 3/4 deep, but then you got those little spacers, you know, so you can't be right next to the wall, and that brings it out to probably about 19.5 inches deep. The Excalibur with the door on there, that's about 19 inches deep. Plus, you know, you should be giving it some clearance against the back. You don't want to just cram it against wherever it is. Let's see, the next thing is the electrical requirements. The Sedona Dehydrator, once again, uses that IEC cord that's removable. The Excalibur has one that's basically comes out of the machine. The other thing I want to make you aware of is that the Sedona Dehydrator is CUL, so that means that it's UL approved and also Canadian UL approved, and the Excalibur is basically has a CE mark, so it's not actually UL approved, which is interesting. Now let's see this. The Sedona has a built-in fuse. It's a time delay fuse rated 6.3 amps, and the Excalibur actually has a built-in fusible circuit, and if it blows, then that's like pretty much not really a usable repairable part, whereas the Sedona, you know, if the fuse blows, you just want to get the another fuse, the right type, put it in there, you're probably gonna be up and running again. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the controls on the different machines. The controls on the Sedona, once again, are digital controls on the front, very easy to program with the little buttons. Of course, it can't be any easier on the Excalibur. You basically have a rotating dial, much like your TV sets of the 70s or 80s, you know, on the volume control. You turn it to off, then you can just set it to the temperature you want. One of the negatives about this is that, I don't like it that it's on the back of the dehydrator. Many people put these on their countertops, and when you push it all the way back, this control is actually underneath, where your cabinets come out. So it's kind of a pain. Next, let's go ahead and take off the doors. So, or open the doors. On the Sedona here, it's kind of nice. The door actually just swings open. It's on a hinge, and it's glass, so you can see in and see what's going on. This machine, if we let it drop, this thing will just drop off. Both machines are actually about a black, camera black is what they call it. And the Excalibur Dehydrator door just comes off. We're going to go ahead and set that inside there. And this is the dehydrator. The Excalibur has a tray that's about this size. This is about a 15-inch by 15-inch tray. The usable space is about 14 by 14. Let's go ahead and measure that just to make sure for you guys. Yep, well, it's about 15 and about a 1/4 inch or so, and by 15 and a 1/4. And the usable tray size about 14 by 14. On the Sedona here, overall tray size, once again, is about 15 and a 1/4 also. And then also we have about 13 inches. So a little bit smaller than the Excalibur. For fun, let's go ahead and just line these up and see how they look. So there it is. You can see the Excalibur basically has maybe like, I don't know, an inch or two more of an actual physical drying space because it is actually a deeper unit. The Sedona comes with these style mesh sheets here, and the Excalibur comes with these style mesh sheets. So both machines look like the mesh sheets are fairly similar in the spacing. Actually, the Excalibur looks like the whole spacing is a little bit larger, and this feels like a more durable, piece. So next, let's go ahead and measure the tray spacing. On the tray spacing between the Excalibur trays, that's about 3/4 of an inch. So that's, that gives you about that much space. If you're dehydrating something that's tall, it's always nice on these kind of dehydrators. You can actually just take out the trays and run them every other tray, so you can have a taller loaf if you're dehydrating breads, or sometimes I'm dehydrating collared chips, and the collared chips have funny waves in them, and then it's kind of nice to have a little bit more clearance. So in the Sedona dehydrator here, the trays are actually are recessed, so they go down a little bit, and basically the spacing in between the trays are approximately 1 inch, so that gives you a 1/4 inch of basically more playing room, and that is kind of nice. So next, we're going to go ahead and take all the trays out of the machine so you can actually see inside the box or inside the dehydrator, and check out the fan assembly, and we're going to go ahead and talk more about that. So I have all the trays out of the two dehydrators, and I'm going to go ahead and do a close-up shot so you guys could see the quality inside the machines and just see the working parts of the dehydrator. That's very important, the quality of the dehydrator, because your dehydrator, unlike a juicer that you run for 5 minutes and turn off, or 10 minutes and then turn off, the dehydrator will be running constantly, for 24, 48 hours, depending on what you're dehydrating and how long you need to dehydrate it. And dehydration times could vary a lot depending on how much moisture is in the food you're dehydrating, plus how much moisture is in the air where you live. So obviously in Las Vegas, things are going to take a little bit less time to dehydrate than in, Honolulu, Hawaii, where there's a lot more humidity in the air. So be sure to check the dehydration times. I have a web page that explains the dehydration times. So you also want to check on my website for the dehydrator comparison chart, which is a chart that basically has everything spelled out with all the different specifications all in one place. You can see it a lot easier. I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and do the close-ups on the motors and the heating elements inside both these dehydrators. So first, we're going to go ahead and look at the Sedona dehydrator, the inside of the machine. So once again, in the back here, it's just a plastic backing, and then you have a nice, basically heavy-duty grid. And then you can see the two fans. There's one fan down here, one fan up here. These are DC brushless fans. And then you have the little heating coils. So once again, you can turn on either one fan or the other fan to dehydrate either the top half or the bottom half, or turn on both for basically the dual heating. So that's definitely going to work pretty good for you. Also, once again, this is computer controlled on the temperature display, so it's constantly monitoring the temperature to make sure it's going to stay at the temperature you set it. Over here next door is the Excalibur dehydrator, and inside here it has one larger fan, and on this you just basically have this wire mesh stuff that's kind of folded over to cover the fan to protect you. And if you press your trays in too much, check out this. I don't know if you can see that, But this mesh stuff flexes, and I've had it when I push the trays in a little bit too much. It actually rubs a little bit. But anyways, the heating elements in this machine are actually behind the fan, and then in the Tri-Vest, actually the heating elements is in front of the fan. So whether it pulls the hot air or pushes the hot air, I don't know if any way is either better than the other. Let's see, this little part here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little like diode looking thing, and that's actually the fusible link there that actually, if it blows out, if it gets too hot, that would need to be replaced if your dehydrator doesn't work, and that is actually a warranty issue probably. Up here is the brains of the Excalibur. It's basically a kind of rheostat thing, or potentiometer that controls the heating of the fan. So once again, this is the fan inside the Excalibur, and on the back of the Excalibur basically just has some sheet metal. And overall, I can definitely see the cases. This is me tapping on the case of the Excalibur, and here's tapping on the case of the Sedona. The Sedona seems to be like a much better built unit, and and I hope it would be, because it costs a little bit more than the Excalibur. Now let's sum up the two different dehydrators. Basically, we have the Sedona Dehydrator 9 tray and the Excalibur 9 tray. And basically, they're both dehydrators. They both dehydrate things, take basically the water out of them to preserve more of the nutrition than standard cooking would. That being said, I encourage you to always eat as much of your diet fresh fruits and fresh vegetables that have high water content, because after all, we are 70 to 75% water. And if we're not eating foods and with that high water content, it's going to dehydrate us, whether they're raw or not. That being said, dehydrating foods is definitely fun. It's the way of cooking and get things that are crunchy in a raw foods diet. So it can be very helpful when you're first beginning, or even if you're a gardener like myself and have so many tomatoes in tomato season you can't possibly eat them all. I like to dehydrate them and save them for the winter. So another excellent use of the Sedona or Excalibur dehydrator. So next, let's go ahead and talk about the non-stick sheets for both these dehydrators. The non-stick sheets are basically this. Instead of using a mesh sheet, you would use one of these non-stick sheets, which is a solid sheet. Now, I always encourage you to use the mesh sheets whenever possible. That's going to reduce your dehydration time. When you have a solid sheet, the airflow can't flow to underneath, so that part usually stays more moist, and you'll usually have to either flip over whatever you're dehydrating that is on a non-stick sheet. But the non-stick sheets can be really useful for making things that are too runny or watery, or things like crackers and breads in the dehydrators. So that being said, this is the 14-inch by 14-inch size, called the PrimaFlex sheets, made for the Excalibur brand dehydrator. And then over on the Tri-Vest, they don't yet have the non-stick sheets. So what I would recommend is you could get the PrimaFlex sheets for the Excalibur, and basically you trim off one edge. Let me go ahead and show that to you. Basically what happened is this is going to fit pretty much one direction pretty well, and then you're just going to trim off this edge, and then you're going to basically have a sheet that's going to fit the Sedona. So one scissor cut, really easy to trim it off, and you're basically all set to go with the non-stick sheets in the Sedona. We will be offering a package with the non-stick sheets with the Sedona really soon for these sheets, and once again, you just got to trim them and you'll be all set, ready to go and dehydrate. So to sum it up, I know the question's going to come up, John, what's the better dehydrator, the Sedona or the Excalibur? Well, that's a good question, and I don't really know, because this is the first unboxing of the Sedona. I haven't actually used it yet, so I just want to compare the features side by side, compare these units side by side so you can see the difference in the size and the shape, the difference in the build quality, and just how they work. The next step is I'm going to start using this, and once I have a good many hours under my belt dehydrating in this, then I'm going to come back and I'll be able to tell you more about the dehydrator and how it works. It wouldn't be really fair of me to say, oh, this one's better or that one's better, because I don't really know. I've been using the Excalibur for many years now, and I know how it runs, but I haven't actually used the Sedona dehydrator yet, so I'm really looking forward to probably making some collard chips in the Sedona dehydrator, because I have lots of collard greens, and you can make your own green powders in your dehydrator. You just literally pick leaves, plain, put them in there, dehydrate them, then you put them in the blender or food processor and powder them up. Instantly you have your own green powder, so they're great to take on trips and other things like that. Other than that, the Sedona costs a bit more than the Excalibur, and the Excalibur once again has two different grades, the 2900 and the 3900. Be sure to check my other video to see the comparison of the 2900 and the 3900. I would recommend actually the 3900 is the upgraded model with better components. But that being said, you know, if you got the money, the Sedona so far, build quality, all the you know, smart features such as the glass on the front door, real glass, and also that you could control the temperature, the timers. It's going to save you money. It's just smart. I mean, you could run half the dehydrator. It's going to save you more money, and it's quieter. I know that for a fact already. It's quieter than the Excalibur. So hopefully you've enjoyed this comparison of the brand new Trivest Sedona Dehydrator and the Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator. And once again, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today is a very exciting day for me. I have the all-new Sedona Food Dehydrator just arrived here, so now I'm going to unbox it and show you guys what's included with the Sedona Food Dehydrator, go over some of the different features it has, and also we're going to just do a rough comparison with the Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator. So this Sedona Dehydrator is a 9-tray dehydrator, and it's made by Trivest, and that's the same company that makes the Green Star juicer, the Green Power juicer, and also the Green Star Elite juicer, plus a host of other basically kitchen appliances that allow you to live a healthier lifestyle. So the Sedona Dehydrator fits in their mix perfectly, and I'm so glad there's finally an alternative to the Excalibur, which has basically ruled the world in the world of raw and living foods. This one has some really cool features, and well, without further ado, let's go ahead and open the box and check it out. We're gonna go ahead and open this box. Now this is a pretty huge box, you know. Dehydrator is actually pretty big. We're also gonna measure the dehydrator and show you the sizes too. So okay, so with the dehydrator, you get the little booklet and instruction manual. The instruction manual has all the operating instructions, including the warranty card. This machine does come with a full 5-year warranty through Trivest. They have excellent customer service. And there's also basically some raw food recipes in here by Jenny Ross, owner and executive chef of 118 Degrees down in Costa Mesa, California. That's an excellent place. I've actually been there and eaten there before. And also by Alyssa Markowitz. So probably about a dozen recipes: sprouted grain tortillas, garden crackers, flax crackers, marinated vegetables, easy fudge brownies, Sedona, sweet Sedona cookies, fruit chips, dehydrated spices, also kale chips, and even a pecan mousse with currant sauce. That sounds delicious, actually. Anyways, comes with the instruction booklet. And let's see here, you get these basically these mesh inserts. So basically, these are the mesh inserts that you put inside the dehydrator to dehydrate everything on. That way you could just take these out for easy cleaning. Now the mesh inserts and all the trays in the Sedona Dehydrator are BPA free. So they're nice, you know, clear plastic, no black dyes or anything to contend with. And then also you get the solid tray. So the solid tray is not necessarily meant for dehydrating anything on, although you could